vitamin B12 would have to be one of the most important nutrients for our brain, for our mood health, and also for our energy levels. If you have low levels of vitamin B12, it's quite common to have signs of anxiety, depression, poor sleep, low energy, and even psychosis in extreme cases. In fact, research has shown that 2/5 of the world's population is severely deficient in vitamin B12, and there's several reasons for this. The first reason is that we may have low stomach acid levels, and when that happens, it means that we actually can't absorb the vitamin B12 in our diet into our body. The second reason is a diet which is high in gluten, that's wheat, corn and rye, or genetically modified organisms, especially corn. And what happens when you take these certain foods in your diet, it will upset and usually inflame the gut. So once again, you're not able to either make or absorb the vitamin B12 out of your diet. And the third reason that's very common is having low protein levels. And that's particularly common with people who are vegans or vegetarians that don't eat any animal products. So some of the solutions to this, the first one is to make your stomach more acid, in other words, to be able to break down those proteins and those foods. You can take apple cider vinegar in water or in salad. You can have lemon juice. You can have bitters, which act like a digestive enzymes, or you can actually take digestive enzymes, particularly at a time when you're eating proteins, to help break it down properly and absorb the vitamin B12 out of the food. The next one is, of course, to avoid gluten foods and avoid GMO foods, particularly corn, which is really popular in our Western diet now. I found a really good natural supplement for vitamin B12, and it's in the form of a superfood, which I'm really excited about, and it comes from the bees. It's the product bee pollen and also royal jelly, which is the food for the queen bee. They're both very high in vitamin Bs, naturally occurring, and also in protein, which is then an excellent source for our body to get the B12. If you find that these natural ways are not enough to get your vitamin B levels up high to the levels that you want, then you can actually take a supplement of vitamin B12. There's a few different types you can have. I recommend to take a methylated vitamin B12, which means it's a more naturally occurring vitamin B12, and your body can absorb it and use it so much more easily. The most common form of vitamin B12 that you'll find in your supplement tablets is something called cyanocobalamin, and that actually, the cyano part means it has a molecule of cyanide in it, which means that it's actually toxic to your body. So even though this is very popular and usually a little bit cheaper than the methylated form, it's worth hunting down for the activated methylated form of vitamin B12. If you find that your levels are really low, or if you're suffering from really quite a severe form of mental health disorder, you can explore the option of having vitamin B12 injections. They've been shown to work really effectively, very quickly. Typically with injections, you'll go to a doctor and have 1 or 2 injections per week for several weeks, and it can be completely changing around someone's mental health condition. So that can be, in severe cases, recommended. So how do you know if you've got B12 deficiency? There's a few different tests, and generally, rather than testing the actual levels of B12 in your blood, which is not always accurate because some foods have fortified extra levels of B12 in grains, in cereals. So instead of checking for the B12 levels, look for 2 different biomarkers. One of them is, and that means it will be showing us how your body's actually using the vitamin B12, and that's a much more accurate way to see what your levels are like. So ask for a test which tests your homocysteine levels and also methylmalonic acid levels. You can ask your doctor to check your levels for both of those, and that will be an accurate measurement to see where your B12 levels are. I hope you found this little video informative and helpful, and thank you for watching it.